segment, I'm joined by Yogendra Yadav, President Swaraj India, joined also by Supriya Srinath of the Congress. We hope to be joined shortly by GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP. But let's get in reaction. Supriya Srinath, terrible day in the office. I hate to sort of, add to your woes today, but do you concede that finally, unless the Congress reinvents, 2024 is a done deal? It's time for the Congress to ask hard questions beyond just saying introspection. It's time for the Congress to reinvent, to go in for massive surgery. No more band-aid, and the surgery may have to start with the way your leadership functions. Very, very whimsical leadership.
So thank you very much for having me on the show tonight, and I would want to wish each one of those people who've been elected the very best. But before I go further, while I agree with you, it's a disappointing day, but I must share a personal achievement as well in the Lok Sabha constituency that I cater to and I work very closely, Maharajganj, and the constituency which is my home, Farinda. The Congress has won that seat, and I thought I should share.
Well done, one of the two seats, one of only two seats.
One of the two, yes.
But remember, the BJP won only 2 seats in 1984, all India, and today is the dominant party. So you can start from Parinda.
I thought I'd share this with you because of the 2 seats that we've won in Uttar Pradesh. We should have done a lot better. One of them is Farinda. It gives me a lot of glimmer of hope because we worked very closely in Farinda and worked very hard. That said, of course, it's a disappointing day. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that these results are disappointing. And it does set us thinking, where did we go wrong? And I'm not going to shy away from answering your questions. Of course, we need deep thinking. Of course, we need drastic actions. Of course, we need all of that. But I think more than anything else, we perhaps went wrong in not being able to articulate the issues of the people that we went to in these elections with, whether it was unemployment, whether it was price rise, whether it was the farmers' issue. I don't think we articulated the issues to convince the electorate to vote on that, and which is perhaps why the electorate did not vote for us. I think going forward, maybe the connect is missing, maybe the articulation is missing, whatever it may be. I think as a party which has stood the test of time, we will come back, and we will come back stronger. I can say that.
Ma'am, comes from credibility. Ma'am, connect comes from credibility. Your party carries a lot of baggage. And then when you make strategic mistakes, you change your chief minister, fair enough, 4 months before. But then you appoint someone as party president in Punjab, Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's taking on the chief minister every day. I mean, the fact is you're riven by factionalism, you're organizationally corroded, and then you lose your connect. Your leadership has the baggage of the past. How are you going to overcome all that? This requires surgery.
Rajdeep, for a party that has existed for so many decades, obviously we're going to carry some baggage. Obviously, this is not an organization that can move with a lot of agility, which is perhaps what is required in politics today. As far as your specific question on Punjab is concerned, there are 2 things which are personally my observation. First, we should have had a leadership change a lot before than we did. And the clamor really came from the MLAs. I wish we had done that sooner, because in 111 days that Mr. Chandy was in office, he did some really good work. And I think as a spokesperson today, and as the media chairman said earlier today, I think the Congress and its factions and its leaders have to realize, wherever you may be, the infighting only emboldens your opponent. It does no good to yourself. But I think each one of us has to be careful in what we say, fighting it together. And I think there are lessons to be learned from our opponents. They come together when it's an electoral battle, and there is no denying that.
Yogendra Yadav, put all this in context. You're very good at that. Put what the events of today mean for national politics. The BJP wins Uttar Pradesh for a 2nd consecutive time, Assembly, their 4th consecutive win when I add the 2 Lok Sabha, and by a big margin. I've been asking this question today to my panelists. Is 2024 a done deal, as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi seemed to suggest? Your take.
Rajdeep, in the face of such a clear verdict, we cannot beat about the bush. The fact is that 2024 was always a tough route for those who want to save this country. And today's verdict has made it much, much more tougher than it was in the morning today. The simple fact is, and there's no way of escaping it, that we have lost. When I say we, I do not mean the political parties who contested election. Of course they have lost. But more than anything, it is those who did not contest election but were invested in it. those who call themselves liberal, secular, progressive, call it by any name. Those who believe in the constitutional values of this country, those who believe in Baba Saheb, Bapu, Bhagat Singh, they have lost. And they've not been defeated by some external outside force. We've been defeated by our own people. The people have voted in a way that goes against many of the values that we hold. So this is a moment to...
Maybe they've rejected those values and are moving on. Maybe they believe that what Mr. Modi claims his vision of India stands for is preferred to the vision that Yogendra Yadav, maybe your India stands for.
Rajdeep, it so happens that the vision that I wish to uphold is the vision of the Indian Constitution. It's not my personal whim It's not my personal whim that I'm upholding. This is the vision of the Constitution of India, and this is the vision of the freedom struggle of India. Yes, it has suffered. I refuse to believe that Indians do not believe in this. I think the failure comes from people like us. We have failed to communicate. Those who ruled this country for the first 50, 60, 70 years did not bother to connect to ordinary people. They made fun of their beliefs. We lost three critical resources: nationalism, religious traditions of this country, and cultural heritage. If you don't connect to these things, you lose connect with the people. And what Uttar Pradesh election today has shown, it is not about Labharthi, it's not about those things. BJP has managed to make a deep cultural connect with the people. They are already disposed in favor of the BJP, irrespective of their gains and losses. That is the more important thing. And the Prime Minister was correct to say that this has implications beyond Uttar Pradesh. He was also correct to say that this is not a caste vote. It goes beyond caste. Yes, that's right. And that is really the fear. That is really the danger, that this republic is being dismantled. And the public has been effectively mobilized in the process of dismantling of republic. And therefore, anyone who takes this verdict seriously, and we should bow our head down, learn from the public, connect with the public, and in this one respect, we should learn from RSS. For not just for years, for decades, they went to people, spoke to them, took ridicule, but communicated. This is what we need to do. So it's not merely a question of one party getting it wrong, another party getting it right. It's easy to blame the SP, Samajwadi Party, for not getting this or that right. And the usual thing about election analysis is that we believe that anyone who's lost got everything right, everything wrong. It is even easier to blame the Congress for not even putting up a fight. But I'm not interested in that bit of it. I'm interested in the deeper defeat that has taken place today. Can we respond? Do we still have resources to come back? Yes, I believe we do. And to me, the simple formula is satta se sangharsh, lekin samaj se samvad.
Very interesting.
You have to combat, you have to take on this regime to defend the constitutional values. The defense has to be through movements, because the real opposition of this country today is not in parliament, it's on the street. At the same time, you have to enter into deep communication with the people. I may dislike, I may reject the ideology of the BJP. I cannot reject the people who have voted for the BJP. I have to speak to them. And this is the humility that we must go in with. A lot of rethinking that must be done, but we must also go in with one conviction, namely that the soil of this country is not for the ideology that is being imposed on this country. That we have Baba Saheb's constitution with us, we have Mahatma Gandhi and the legacy of the freedom movement with us, we have 5,000 years of civilization with us. With this, we shall fight, we shall win.
You know, those are all very fine words, but they may sound the word of an ideology, identity, which today at least certainly seems to be facing some kind of a crisis of credibility, people questioning it, and the people seem to have, at least electorally, rejected it. GVL Narasimha Rao, good time to get you in. Yogendra Yadav seems to suggest almost that we are on the onset of a second republic. What he has seen today, he believes is a defeat of the constitutional values as they stood, as enunciated by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. The BJP, and this is the sense I get from him, is practicing extra constitutional politics in a manner by forcing in values which may not be in line with what Yogendra believes they should be. What is your response to what you just heard. How do you pitch this victory today?
Yes. Rajdeep, first of all, analysis being presented here is a twisted analogy to suit their failed politics. I think if there is any prime minister in this country who ever represented Ambedkar values, Gandhian principles, it is Prime Minister Modi ji. This is what has delivered victory to the BJP. I think this, in the name of analysis, what you are presenting is a complete abnegation of what people have done today. People have voted us because of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas principle. Is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, is this not part of Ambedkarian philosophy? Is this not what Gandhi preached? I think we have delivered development to the last man standing, the poorest man in this country. We have reached out to the remotest villages in this country.
Is that why you believe you won today, that the Labharti, the so-called beneficiaries of government schemes, you believe this is a victory for welfareism, pro-poor welfareism? Am I correct?
No, I think some of these words that you have mentioned, they're actually being used as some kind of either a buzzword or in a negative sense. Labharti, no, I don't want to call him. It is his right to get development.
So your
Prime
party
Minister
uses the word Labharti.
has ensured that but the poorest of the poor have got their rights under Prime Minister Modi ji. They have delivered. What did Manmohan Singh say? It is a rejection of the principles that Congress party and their friends have espoused all these years. They said, okay, the first right on the nation's resources is for minorities. Did Manmohan say it or no? Dr. Manmohan Singh said this. It's a rejection of such policies. We have been in power for 8 years at center, and we have been in power in 5 years in UP. I dare anyone to say that we have differentiated or discriminated in any program that we have implemented in this last 8 years. We have ensured, today Honorable Prime Minister referred to this saturation of development. 100% people should get the benefits of development, and it's their right. People have voted for this. People have not voted for slogans. The Congress party gave big slogans, Garibi Hatao, but it was merely a slogan only in the last 7 years. You have seen how on every sense, you have every household today having a gas supply in this country, LPG. You have every household in this country today, which almost every household having a toilet in this country. You have almost every house today having electricity in this country. This should have been done 50 years ago. But Prime Minister Modi ji ensured it because he said, no, I want to make sure that everybody has financial inclusion, everyone has a house, everyone has the basic needs. And today we are working for everybody having a roof on their head and everyone having water supply in their houses. I think it is this development which has been deprived to them for decades, which is electing the BJP to power. For anyone to say we are not following the constitutional principles, and it's only trying to really find some kind of a wisdom in their defeat. They have been defeated because of their bad policies.
You're making some important points, and I think very quickly Supriya Srinath and Yogendra Yadav respond, because Supriya Srinath, one of the factors of today's election, and Pradeep Gupta's poll suggests that women have overwhelmingly voted for the BJP, not just in UP, in neighboring Uttarakhand as well. Your leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra goes into the election, Ladki hu, lad sakti hu. You get 2 seats. The BJP gets 274, gets a double-digit lead among women. Clearly, some of the conveniences that are being spoken about by GVL Narasimha Rao, the gas cylinder, the Swachh Bharat scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Awas housing scheme, many of these benefits are helping the women perhaps get status, which they feel they can now identify with Prime Minister. They connect to him in a way that even Priyanka Gandhi could not connect with the woman. You were a slogan. They claim they implemented things on the ground. That's why women voted for them.
So I thought one has to be humble in victory and grateful in loss, but I thought I was expecting otherwise from the BJP. It doesn't happen with them. The reality, Rajdeep, is, and I will answer your direct question on women, No matter, I mean, I was graceful to congratulate you, but are you going to be humble enough to accept that, yes, you have won, Mr. Narasimha Rao, but the issues that plague India, the issues that plague Uttar Pradesh, the Labharthis that you speak about are poorer today. There is more unemployment. 1 out of 4 people in UP is unemployed. Are you going to deny the fact that there are 4 crore Ujjwala beneficiaries who have not been able to get their cylinders refilled? So, the victor takes it all is a syndrome, and I know everybody suffers from that, but the reality is that you have not walked the talk on your previous promises. I hope you're going to fulfill some of the promises that you've made now, because issues on the ground, whether it's price rise, unemployment, farmer issues, MSP, continue to plague the electorate. On the specific issue of women, Rajdeep, I thought Priyanka Gandhi took a very, very bold step. This was a leap of faith that she took to really get women in the mainstream of politics. I don't think there's any going back from this for the Congress, or for that matter, my worthy friends from the BJP and other parties. Women will take center space.
But can I
Let me
just stop?
finish. Women will take center space, and it is incumbent upon us to give them that center space.
Yeah, but there will be those who will say, no, I don't think anyone will deny, ma'am.
BJP willing to pass the 33% reservation for women. You talk so much about women empowerment. Let's discuss that today. Are you willing to get women
1 minute.
empowerment?
Supriya Shrinet, this is an occasion to try and understand the verdict. The fact is that while you had these slogans, while you gave these 40% tickets, the women have voted for the BJP. And that's what I want to understand, Yogendra Yadav. You say that this government, in a sense, hasn't fulfilled the ideals of Ambedkar Gandhi, but in the poorest areas of UP, in Bundelkhand, it's a virtual sweep. Out of the 19 seats when I saw last, 18 have gone to the BJP. When you look across Uttar Pradesh, some of the poorer regions have voted for the government at a time of a pandemic, at a time of Mehengai, at a time of Berozgari. They've still stood by the BJP. There must be something to it. Are you saying it's only an emotional, cultural connect that is responsible for it? Is it, as you seem to suggest, Hindutva plus politics? Something has happened which has changed the ground of Uttar Pradesh and indeed several parts of the country.
Rajdeep, the elections are over, and this is not a moment for polemics or scoring points. And in that spirit, I was saying, and I thought Mr. Narasimha Rao might be pleased with what I was saying. I was saying, and I repeat, that yes, of course, it's absolutely true that a staggering victory like this cannot be achieved unless you have a cross-sectional support. Of course, BJP has got it. And there is no denying the fact that if you travel in UP, as I did, almost everyone who supports BJP mentioned the ration and the fact that ration was given without discrimination. And Muslims that I spoke to said, yes, they received ration without any discrimination. These are undisputed facts. I was saying that what BJP has achieved is something much deeper. They have established a deeper cultural connect by drawing upon nationalism, religious tradition and cultural heritage, to which, in my view, this is a complete illegitimate appropriation, but operationally it is a connect. They have created an emotional bond.
Let's cut the fine words. Sorry, Yogendra, to interrupt. Cutting out the fine words, is it what you're saying is that deep subliminal anti-Muslim messaging has gone out? Let's be clear, that's what you're trying to suggest. That people forgot about all their problems as long as the Samajwadi Party was seen as a party of Muslim appeasers, was seen as a party which was in a sense minority appeasers, versus the BJP, where under Yogi Adityanath, it was not going to do that appeasement anymore.
Anti-Muslim rhetoric is a critical part of it, and I'm surprised that Mr. Narasimha Rao did not read or hear the speeches given by Mr. Yogi in this very election. But that is not the only thing. I repeat, it is nationalism, religious tradition, and cultural heritage, a combination of these three, which is not merely anti-Muslim, although anti-Muslimism is a critical part of it. This is what has enabled BJP to develop a connect, deep cultural connect, and people are willing to suffer losses. I met a lot of people who said, हाँ नुकसान हुआ, लेकिन वोट बीजेपी को देंगे. हाँ मेरे को नौकरी नहीं है, लेकिन वोट बीजेपी को देंगे. That is the critical thing, and that's why I think the challenge is not merely getting your strategy right, getting a few messages right. We are dealing with something which is much deeper challenge. And that we should be aware of.
But maybe the same people say, with due regard, Yogendra Yadav, maybe the same people say, मुझे toilet मिला, मुझे घर मिला, मुझे ration मिला, मुझे किसान सम्मान निधि में 2,000 रुपए मिले every 3 months. They're saying that as well. So the delivery schemes through DBT are reaching people who perhaps did not get it in previous times. That is also a reality, is it not? It's not just cultural connect, there's also a welfareist pitch.
There is a welfareist pitch. I'm not entirely sure if the welfare measures done by the BJP are qualitatively different from those done by other regimes in the past. What the BJP has done, and in that sense, BJP is very similar to the left front in West Bengal, when it used to rule, that they have put a personal party stamp on every single government scheme. So yes, they have made more political capital out of it. But I would still say, when I speak to people, yes, they talk about the benefits that they receive. But even before this talk of benefits, they are predisposed in favor of the BJP. And it is that predisposition which makes them take losses and yet prefer BJP. This is what we ought to be worried about, at least those who value the constitution, those who think of Gandhi's India. We are up against a very deep challenge, which challenges the very core of idea of India. And unless we are willing to take that on, electoral victories are not going to come easy. And that remains a challenge for 2024.
Fair enough. GVL Narasimha Rao, a quick response and then I'll get final words from my panelists. But GVL, you want to respond?
Yeah. Declare. Yes, Rajdeep, you see, look, let me broadly respond to the 2-3 points that have been made. We as a party, as an ideology, from the time we took birth, we have not modified our ideology, and we are if people are getting more and more attracted to our ideology, I think we are happy about it, and the whole country should adopt this ideology. Why should this country not be proud about its cultural heritage? Why should anyone not respect or feel proud about yoga? We have Prime Minister Modi ji was responsible in getting it international recognition, and certainly we should be proud about it. If any party thinks we should undermine India's cultural heritage, so to act as a appeasement politics, to act as a spike for your appeasement politics, you are certainly not going to work. You are not going to succeed.
Okay.
Secondly, nationalism. What's wrong about nationalism? I think should everyone not be nationalistic? Should people be only indulging in anti-national or anti-India activities? Having pride, I think nationalism is something that should be ingrained in every citizen. If BJP is identified with nationalism, I think we have every right to succeed in every election. Third, our developmental efforts are both qualitatively and quantitatively different. Qualitatively, they are different because we don't discriminate. It is 100% delivery. Second, quantitatively, they are different. In the PM Kisan, do you know the number of beneficiaries in Uttar Pradesh? It's about 2.5 crore, 10% of the state's population. Do you know how many people have been given Ujjwala connections? 1.5 crore households. You know how many free gas cylinders have been given during COVID? 2.5 crore. These are staggering numbers. You know how many people have been given ration free during this 19 months during the COVID period? 15 crore people of Uttar Pradesh. So these are quantitatively, these are numbers which you have never seen. Even if you put together all the governments, what they have done in the last 70 years, it would still be far short of what this government has done in a matter of 5 years. This is therefore certainly helping the BJP's march to victory.
Okay.
I think it's apart from development. If anyone wants to really attribute our success to acting in a non-constitutional manner or doing anything unconstitutional, they are only mocking. They are only doing a mockery of Indian democracy and nothing else.
Okay. Interestingly put, it's always good. And that's why democracy in India still survives, because we still have space to hear alternate views without shouting at each other. And I appreciate that all three of you today did not cross talk, because that enhances, I believe, the viewer experience. I'm going to say thank you to all three of you.